SportsCenter's got all the moves for you. Arch Madness reigns in the NFL. Are the Rams still headed east to St. Louis? March Madness is here. We will go east to see what lies ahead for top seed Wake Forest in the field of 64. While the 65 and over NIT gets its run towards Broadway off to a shattering start. The Pro Hardwood finds stars colliding in the Jersey air, but still no air to be found as the Hawks soar into bullish Chicago. On ice, the Rangers and Flyers don't mess around. Neither does the prosecution at the OJ Simpson trial.
I felt like we're in Alice in Wonderland. We've got Jabberwocky here.
It's madness. SportsCenter's rolling at you. Good seats are hard to come by, no matter who you are. Next.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the big show alongside my tag team partner, Dan Patrick. I'm Keith Olbermann.
Coming up on SportsCenter, the replacement players walking the walk. The real players talking the talk. We'll also preview the Eastern Regional on the eve of the tournament, but our night begins with the Spirit of St. Louis.
To which city battalions of attorneys are being airlifted even as we speak. In 1945, when Ohio businessman Dan Reeves wanted to move his Cleveland Rams football team to Southern California, the LA Memorial Coliseum Commission first voted no. 50 years later, under entirely different circumstances, history repeating itself for the Rams. Here are Chris Berman and Chris Mortensen at the NFL meetings in Phoenix.
The NFL owners have spoken, and it was not the voice that the Rams nor the fans in St. Louis wanted to hear. Only 3 yes votes, 21 against, for the proposed move from Anaheim to St. Louis. The 3 yes votes, by the way, not a Frank Corral field goal, the Rams, Tampa Bay, and Cincinnati. 6 abstentions included the Rams' neighbors, Al Davis and the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Arizona Cardinals. Ironically, 7 years ago, here at these meetings, Bill Bidwell got a yes vote to move from St. Louis to Arizona. Georgia Frontiere on Wednesday did not.
I feel the league's demands were arbitrary and capricious and not based on any precedent. We'll be meeting with representatives from St. Louis in the next few days to discuss our options. As I told them in the meeting room, the last chapter has yet to be written, and I look forward to a happy ending.
Chris Mortensen joins me as always, and more. Georgia Frontiere said she would never sell the team. That was not an option. She described the room as a kangaroo court, saying that the Rams made a substantial financial offer to the league. Obviously, it wouldn't accept it.
And not substantial enough for the league. And there's just some big disagreements here, Chris. For one, the league feels that the Rams were more profitable than they let on, and that any problems they had were caused by their own mismanagement. And you can't mismanage a team in a major market like L.A. and then leave and make $70 million without leaving something behind to build a new stadium for the Raiders or to attract another team.
We're not tilting in any direction. We're trying to balance the interest of fans in one area with the interest of fans in another area and continue a league which will be very responsive to fans generally, and that's sometimes difficult to do.
Well, ex-antitrust lawyer, current commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue, must feel that if the Rams go to court, and we expect that that's the case, that the league has a better chance than they did 10 years ago when the Raiders moved.
Yeah, and the league had Frank Rothman, their lead litigator here, and Rothman feels there's been a recent court ruling that helps their cause in this case. Specifically, the NBA blocked the Minnesota Timberwolves from going to New Orleans, and they'll use that to try to block the Rams move if that happens. Of course, we expect that to happen.
Well, let's get on the field. Andre Bad Moon Rison, where will this wide receiver rise in '95?
Well, we've been able to confirm a report that Rison is going to the Cleveland Browns, may not be announced for a day or two. $16 million, 5 years, Chris.
One other signing, the Seahawks have signed Raiders linebacker Winston Moss to replace Rufus Porter, who a few days ago was signed by the Saints. One thing we do know, when the sun comes up on Santa Monica Boulevard tomorrow, the Rams will still be in Anaheim. Let's kick it back to SportsCenter.
One more slice of history, by the way, after initially, he did that song first? After initially disapproving the Rams move because it didn't want a pro team in their stadium, the 1945 LA Coliseum Commission eventually changed its mind. Another NFL note, 2 days after ESPN reported that star University of Miami defensive lineman Warren Sapp had tested positive for marijuana at the college combine, and the New York Times reported they'd been told he'd also tested positive for cocaine. The NFL denied the cocaine report today and said nothing about the marijuana. And Sapp released a statement through his agent that said nothing about either. This is a confidential matter, and I have addressed the situation with my family, friends, and the NFL. I am sorry about this unfortunate occurrence. Dan?
The Nets tugged on Superman's cape tonight as Shaquille O'Neal paid a visit to New Jersey. Shaq and company in the mood to vent some frustrations following Tuesday night's home loss to the Jazz. The Nets, who remain in the hunt for the right to meet the Magic in the opening round of the playoffs, blew out Orlando by 27 earlier this season at the Meadowlands. Shaq, say hello to D.C. Shaq would get it right. Anthony Bowie finds Shaq for the jam. Magic leading early. On the inbounds, Horace Grant, Penny Hardaway, a design play. Magic lead by 7 at halftime. Third quarter, Derek Coleman got en fuego. Actually, he's D.C. when he plays well. He's Derek Coleman when he doesn't. The bank, and then Coleman. The give and go to P.J. That would be D.C. and P.J. Then Coleman, a season-high 36, prettiest play of the night, not on the offensive end. On the defensive end, Coleman holding Shaq scoreless for the final 8:16 of the game. And your final, 108-99, Orlando. 2 losses in the Meadowlands by a combined 36 points. Orlando has dropped 5 of their last 7 road games. The Airless Bulls hosting the Hawks. Scotty all smiles. His team had won 6 of the last 8. Off the BJ miss, Pete Myers, nice pass to Scotty for the jam. Pippen returns the favor. If Jordan does come back, Myers loses his starting role. Bulls up by 5 after 1. Scotty, unselfish, looking for Kukoc. Hawks try to imitate former Bull Enos Watley to Cadillac, and Lenny said, I did not see that. Hawks down by 12 at the break. Corey Blunt, Pete Myers. Phil Jackson says, 99-86 the final. Atlanta trails the Bulls by 1.5 games for the 6th playoff spot. Norman goes for 21, but other than that, all Chicago. Kukoc had 13 rebounds, which I believe a career high. As for the latest on the Jordan watch, it's still ticking, but it doesn't give the correct time. Reporters camped out at the Bulls practice facility earlier today hoping to hear from Jordan or hear an announcement related to his return. They got neither. Bulls players denied they were told about Jordan's comeback at a team meeting following last night's win over the Bullets. Keith?
13 games ago, it was obvious there'd be a baseball settlement long before the 3-7-1 Philadelphia Flyers would compete for a playoff berth. No. Tonight at Madison Square Garden, the Flyers had a chance to tie the New York Rangers for first place in the Atlantic Division. Flyers losers of just 2 of the last 13. Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon having an SB flashback. And I hear Dan begging for applause to Dominic Roussel's first appearance just the day after the ESPYs. Eric Lindros beats to Renberg, who beats Richter. And then 21 seconds later, it's 2-0. Renberg returned the favor to Lindros. 3 points tonight, 3-0 Flyers. And then the Rangers got it going when Messier and Graves with a little fight against Kevin Holler. Then Messier scores, goes to Dominic Roussel's 5-hole. Can I say that? Flyers get careless in their zone. Brian Leach stops. You bet. 3-3 tie. The Flyers have blown the lead. End of the second, then late in the third, Lindros feeds the new Flyer, John LeClair, and he beats Richter like a rented goal. LeClair! 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 And Roussel and the former Ranger Craig McTavish celebrate their step into the first place tie with the Rangers. LeClair nets the winner, and the Rangers and Flyers are tied in the NHL Atlantic, even though the Flyers have played 2 fewer games. Flyers, of course, caught lightning in a bottle the day they got John LeClair from the Canadiens, who staggered home again to face the once red-hot Penguins. Matthew Schneider beat Ken Reggett right between the pipes there. 2-1 halves. Second period, Schneider from Kirk Muller and puts it, passed it out of position. Reggett. Ed Johnston pulls him, sends in Wendell Young. And then it's Jaromir Jagr to the rescue on the power play goal. But it's still 5-3 Habitant. Then the third period, the Monkeys sang about Valerie, and there he is. Valerie Bure, Pavel's brother, beats Wendell Young, and then the rebound deflected in by Shell Samuelson. It's Bure's first NHL goal. Canadiens, though, win it by a final of 8-5. 58 shots in this game, 13 goals, 22% success rate on putting the old biscuit in the basket. Recchi a goal and an assist. To exactly how have Philly and Montreal done since the Recchi-Leclair swap? Glad you asked. It's not just points, though Leclair and company have outgunned Recchi 40-13 now. The plus-minus figure for the new 3 newest Flyers is plus 15. For poor Recchi, with an assist and a goal tonight anyway, it shrinks to minus 13. Dan?
One day after baseball striking players received a favorable ruling against the owners from the National Labor Relations Board, baseball's locked-out umpires withdrew the unfair labor practice charges they had filed against the owners. The umpires, who have been locked out since January 1st, hope to resolve their differences with the owners through the collective bargaining process. As for the striking players, they reacted to the NLRB's accusations that the owners are guilty of unfair labor practices.
We're here to say that we're hoping this speeds up the process again to get the owners to the table. We're here, we're waiting, we're always here, we're always waiting.
We want to play baseball, and
Right now, the only other opportunity that we have is maybe to go out here and participate and have this players tour, because we want to get back out doing what we love to do, even though the owners won't allow us to do that.
There's been no word on when or where or if the negotiations will continue. Opening day, 18 days away. Keith?
Still ahead of us tonight on The Big Show, who's the beast of the East? You like momentum in Wake Forest or late-season surges in Villanova or former numbers 1 in UMass? We'll preview all the options later. Also still ahead of us tonight. Tonight was the start of tournament time. A hurricane in Happy Valley. Miami and Penn State open up the NIT. And first, a big win, and now big dog, big hurt. Bucks versus the Pacers. When we rejoin you.
Sportscenter is brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today?
While the statements of a witness who has not even yet testified had attorneys yelling at each other, the day at the OJ Simpson trial was highlighted by a low-key denial from Detective Mark Furman. First, the verbal brawl. More on the gunnery sergeant Max Cordoba, whom defense attorney F. Lee Bailey insisted to the court yesterday he had spoken to, quote, Marine to Marine. Last night, Cordoba denied ever having spoken to Bailey. This morning, prosecutor Marcia Clark called Bailey a liar.
I think that Mr. Bailey should be cited for contempt and fined substantially. As an officer, an officer of the court, he has lied to this court. He is impeached by his own witness.
I ask that you put a stop to it. Either put Cordoba on the stand
Excuse me, Mr.
or
Bailey.
stop her from testifying.
Stand up and speak when it's your turn.
Mr. Bailey, do not interrupt counsel.
Tonight, Cordoba has changed his story. He says he had spoken with Bailey. Then came the interaction between Bailey and Detective Mark Furman of the LAPD.
Are you therefore saying that you have not used that word in the past 10 years, Detective Furman?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And you say on your oath that you have not addressed any black person as a nigger or spoken about black people as niggers in the past 10 years, Detective Furman?
That's what I'm saying, sir.
Search.
Bailey had one last shot at Furman after court adjourned for the day.
Argument.
Ever since Furman said he has never used the word nigger in the last 10 years, the phone has been ringing so fast that we now must decide whether it wouldn't be to our advantage to wait until the defense case, let thousands of witnesses come forward, and then further cross-examine Mr. Furman on a lot of points and not just Max Cordoba.
Also today, out of the hearing of the jury, Bailey presented what he called his theory of the case. Holding a small plastic bag containing a leather glove, Bailey said Furman could have grabbed a bloody glove from the murder scene, placed it in a similar bag, and then hidden the bag in his sock, producing it then at OJ Simpson's residence. District Attorney Clark attacked the demonstration, pointing out that the glove found at Simpson's was bulky and sized extra large. Size small, she said, as she laid the glove across her palm. I guess it's Mr. Bailey's. Dan?
The Miami Hurricanes don't have a player who was alive the last time the school sent a team to a postseason tournament. Leonard Hamilton, Miami's head coach, was only 16 years old when Rick Barry led the Hurricanes into the NIT. Tonight, the Canes marched into madness with their opening round game against Penn State. To the rec hall we go, and Joe Pa on hand. First half, Miami on a 17-0 run. It's Constantine Popa. Canes up by 13 at the break. Kevin Norris, Alex Frazier. Miami had a 20-point lead. But hold on, PSU has John Amici. Soft as church music with the little hook. The home team, it's Amici inside, three-point play. Penn State trails by only 5. After a cold first half, Pete Lisicki touches nothing but, well, part of the rim. Penn State closes to within 3. It's Lisicki. Please touch nothing but the bottom of the net. Penn State down 1, had some free throws, capped the comeback, and guess what? Well, you don't have to guess. You see, Penn State celebrating, which means they won 62-56. The Canes led 48-28 with 14 minutes left and lost the game. Nittany Lions, they play Thursday against the winner of the Georgia-Nebraska tilt. The Golden Griffs of Canisius meeting Seton Hall. Darrell Barley misses. Michael Meeks does not. Meeks had 26. Craig Wise takes the ball away from Danny Hurley to Kevin Thompson. Get it to him. Canisius up early. Back to Wise. Seton Hall, come back. Hurley with the steal, takes it the distance, and then Hurley tries to go inside again. Craig Wise says no. Canisius holds on to win it by the final of 83-71 as the Pirates out-rebounded 36-25 as the Golden Griffs snapping a 14-game losing streak to Big East teams. In fact, the last time they beat a Big East team, I believe that was Seton Hall.
It was as if the future established NBA versions of Glenn Robinson and Vin Baker traveled back from 1998 or so and occupied their 1995 bodies for one night. Behind Big Dog's 27 and the Bakers' dozen of points, boards, and assists, the Bucks wiped out Charlotte Monday night and try to take the act tonight on the road at Indiana. And the scary moment, watch as Glenn Robinson lands on Sam Mitchell's foot. It's an ankle. That's right, I've seen ankles before, and that's one. He limped to the bench in pain. He would return. And so would the Pacers. Miller underneath from Rick Smits. Then it's the Todd Day show underneath on the nice feed from Robinson. And then long range, it's Day for a tray. He had 34, thinking he's won, and says, "Hi, Mom." Mom must be watching Sportscenter. But Miller had the last word. See ya. Over Day's head. Reggie with 40. Pacers win 117-108. 17 in the fourth for Miller. Baker ends with 18 points, 17 boards, but the biggest night belonged to the wife of Indiana's Antonio Davis, who had a double. Gave birth to a boy and a girl, twins, during the game. Still ahead on, as the Stones sang, Shattered Shadoobie. Do you prefer Springsteen or somebody else, maybe? We'll be right back, and we'll clean this mess up in just a moment.
Here's Thursday's slate in the NCAA tournament, and we would like to publicly thank the good folks at John Stockton's alma mater who offered a subtle reminder to us SportsCenter anchors. The school is pronounced Gonzaga. After meeting up with Joe Smith and the Terps, they will more than likely be just plain gone.
Our breakdown segment tonight begins with a multiple choice test. Which is the hottest team entering the NCAA East Regional? A, ACC tournament champ Wake Forest, B, A10 tournament champ UMass, C, Big East tournament champ Villanova, or D, Big 8 tournament champ Oklahoma State? I know, you answered E, none of the above.
Hot teams, hotter players. Top-seeded Wake Forest heads into the East bracket square on the shoulders of Randolph Childress, who scorched the ACC tournament with a record 107 points in 3 games, including 37 in the final against Carolina.
I'm not going to go into this tournament expecting it to score 40 points or 37 on 30, but I'm just going to go into it, and if our team's flat, I'm going to attack the other team.
Wake's opponent, MEAC champion NCAA. The Aggies head to their second straight tourney under a different coach. Roy Thomas taking over for Jeff Capel. You'll find Jeff Capel coaching the East 14th seed Old Dominion. Should Wake get past the Aggies, Minnesota could be next with its senior backcourt of Bashawn Leonard and Townsend Orr. The Golden Gophers play St. Louis. The Billikens start no one over 6'6", and they have a few other problems.
Our manager has had everything packed that he wants to wear. He forgot the practice gear. So we may do.
Will Penn be able to score against Alabama? The Crimson Tide holding opponents to 38% shooting, good for second in the nation. The Quakers will bomb away, led by Ivy Player of the Year Matt Maloney, who's hitting nearly half of his threes. Penn could face Drexel in a second-round matchup straight out of Market Street in Philly, but Baltimore Arena will more than likely see Oklahoma State with one of the best inside-outside combos in the country, Randy Rutherford and Big Country Bryant Reeves. Massachusetts leads a balanced bottom half of the East draw. The Minutemen blew through the A10, winning their last 6 games by over 17 points each. Getting through St. Peter's puts UMass up against either Stanford's strong backcourt of Brevin Knight and Deion Cross or the Jarvis Lang-led frontcourt of UNC Charlotte. A UMass-Villanova matchup in the Sweet 16 would settle this year's bragging rights between the Big East and the Atlantic 10. The Wildcats are flying, winners of 17 of 19, including a romp over Connecticut in the Big East final. Nova may have to contend with Tulsa. When last we saw them, they were hammering UCLA and then Oklahoma State in last year's tournament.
If history runs true to form, Wake Forest has the best shot at graduating from this regional. 5 of the 10 East champs were top seeds. 7 of the 10 East champs were ACC teams. Wake, of course, is both.
Had Coppin State defeated North Carolina A&T in the finals of the MEAC title game, they would be prepping for an NCAA game with Wake Forest instead of playing tonight in an NIT matchup against St. Joe's. This game was held up for an hour and 15 minutes after Coppin State's Mario McGriff shattered a backboard during pregame warm-ups. He would have been assessed a technical foul, but the refs were not on the court at the time. Reggie Townsend leading St. Joe's, 2 of his 19. Stephen Stewart, 2 of his 19. as the Coppin State Eagles hanging close. Stewart then a nice move off the dribble as Coppin State erased an 8-point deficit in the last 5.5 minutes. And they would win this game in overtime, 75-68, to improve to 21-9. They play the winner of Thursday's St. John's South Florida game. You see Marquette and Auburn. That is the final, their first ever meeting. The Golden Eagles will play the winner of Thursday's Southern Miss and St. Bonaventure winner. Elsewhere, the game we just showed you here on ESPN, it was DePaul losing to Iowa. The Hawkeyes play Thursday's winner of the GW Ohio contest, and Colorado, New Mexico State, just about 14 minutes to go in the second half. The Buffs, by the way, won the NIT, 1940.
Following Sportscenter at the top of the hour, the NIT frenzy continues. Barry Tompkins gives us a preview of Texas Tech, Washington State.
Texas Tech has made the circuitous trip from Lubbock to Pullman. Did they plan to leave a loser? No. The Cougs are darn glad to be here, both in the NIT and in Pullman. They got it all going now and won't take a backward step. Tech and Wazoo are coming up.